Right, raise your hand when you can see my screen. Amazing stuff. Right, what I'm about to walk you through is not sexy. It's not rocket science, right? There's nothing flash here. There's no tech here. It's simple, but it's freaking effective, right? Before I walk you through what I want to share, like before I jump into the meat and the bones of and breaking down the call, I want to give you some education and put some context behind what I'm sharing, why I'm sharing it, and why it matters to you. Because if I just give you the thing, the strategy, and there's no foundation that's being given to you on, then it's not going to have the effect that I needed to have it on, on you in order for you to make it work. Does that make sense? So if we look at the marketplace now as a whole, the coaching industry, it is booming, right? There's no denying that fact. It's booming. We've gone through, I believe that we're still in, but I also feel as though we're coming out of the other side of the information age, where people are just constantly wanting more information. And that's still the case, right? You know, people have always wanted information. But what I feel about now is there's a shift, there's a twist in the marketplace. It's no longer just about information. I believe that people have already got all the information that they need, but they're still not making it work. Right? So there's a shift in the market, but the marketplace is booming, but there's a shift in it. You see, people that's already got all the information that they need, yet they're still stuck with the problem. They're now sophisticated people. Premium buyers are sophisticated people. And there's a lot of sophisticated people out there that's been burnt, that are now skeptical. They've invested a lot of money in coaches. I spoke to somebody yesterday, or sorry, was it this morning? Maybe two people over the last 2 days, and they've invested over 100K on coaches, mentors, leaders, so-called gurus in the marketplace, yet they're still struggling with the thing they're selling. They don't know what they're selling. So there's a lot of sophisticated people out there that are wanting to buy, but they're skeptical. There's a lack of trust in the marketplace. Now, if we want, and this is going to cause a huge problem for a lot of people if they carry on doing what they're doing. Because in the marketplace, the coaching industry is like, it's become like the information industry, where it's like become like a carbon copy. It's like a copy and paste. Everybody's doing similar things, yet with a slight twist to it. And sophisticated people can see this. And if we carry on doing what we're doing, if you carry on doing what you're doing, if they carry on doing what they're doing, whilst it might have worked at one point at one stage, and whilst it might have been effective, it gets to a stage, it gets to a point where it's less effective. So if these sophisticated people are still seeking a solution and they come through to you and they jump on a call with you, and you're seen to be doing the same old type style of sales conversations, right, that conversation is less effective. Because if you look at any sales script or any framework of a sales script, they're all generally the same. Right? You start here, you move there, you go there, you go there, and you go there. So it's, if you really want to make a big difference, if you really want to stick out, if you really want to be able to get these premium clients, whilst they're sophisticated, we need to become more sophisticated. We need to play at a different game at a different level, and we need to be, right, totally different. Does that make sense? All me, hands up if that totally makes sense. Yeah, good stuff. So understanding as well that all sales, 100% of sales is psychology driven. It is all psychology driven. You can have an amazing offer. You can be an amazing coach. You can be a world-class coach. And I know a lot of world-class coaches, right? But if you show up to a sales conversation and you don't have that conviction in your voice, if you don't have that confidence in you as a coach, as a person, if you don't have that certainty in what it is that you're talking about, what you're delivering, what you're selling, if you don't show with leadership, if you don't come with the right energetics, right, they're going to be able to tell that. They're going to be able to feel that. They're going to be able to see and feel the uncertainty, the lack of confidence in you as a coach, as a mentor, as a leader. And so you can be an amazing at what you do, but if you don't shine all of those things that I've just illustrated, they're not going to buy, right? Because that doesn't put confidence in them as a buyer in you. It doesn't really give them confidence that they're going to get that credit card out, right, and invest that 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 12,000 in you. So we need to be able to understand the psychology of sales. Now, what I will say is, like a lot of what I'm going to be talking about now, this is applicable to, well, if you're a newbie, and what I mean by newbie, maybe you've just become certified as a coach. There's going to be a lot of in-depth stuff here. There's going to be a lot of eye-depth stuff here. There's going to be a lot of like things that may be like in advance of where you're at right now, but there's still a lot that you can take away from this call, right, to put into your business. If you are an established coach, if you've been selling for quite some time, you're going to be able to take the next level of stuff that I talk about here, a lot of the psychology stuff, and inject that into your business. So for those who are maybe just starting off and you're not kind of making sales yet, like you can take some of the simplest stuff like the framework, and it will still work. It will still work. What we do as well allows you as a coach to build a stronger relationship up with your prospective client faster. Because again, based on the first principle I mentioned here, the first training, there's a big lack of trust in the marketplace. So when somebody comes to a sales conversation, right, what do they come to you with? They come to you with barriers up, right? Because they know some way, some part of that conversation, they're going to be sold to, right? And people don't like to be sold to. They like to buy, but they don't like to be sold to. So they will always come to a conversation with barriers up. This allows you to ethically, morally break down those barriers, not through manipulation, right, but just through building real human to human relationships. And that's what it's all about. Also, this works amazing because if you understand the brain and how it retains information, most coaches or consultants, when they jump on a call with somebody, right, yes, they will jump on Zoom and they will have the camera on and they will go eyeball to eyeball. Amazing, right? So they'll have a conversation which is auditory. Yet they're never going to retain, they will only retain 10% of that information if they leave. So if they get to the end of the call, say, wow, that was amazing, let me think about it and I'll come back to you. They can't make an educated decision based on the 10% of information that they can remember, right? If it's text, they'll only, again, going to retain 20% of that information. So if you send them something and they read it, or they've seen something, and then come back to a conversation, they're not going to read it all. What we do here, we use all three modalities of engagement. So we're using auditory, we're using text, and we're also creating a visual representation, a visual image of their current situation. So by utilizing all three modalities of conversation and interaction, it allows the brain to make better executive decisions at the end of the call and retain all the information that you actually shared it. It makes it easy to handle objections. A lot of coaches don't have sales skill sets. Coaching industry isn't teaching coaches how to sell coaching. And the way that you coach and the way that you sell coaching is two totally different things. If you don't develop the right skill sets to be able to sell your offer, the thing that you want to sell, then you can spend all day long learning lead gen, right, and marketing, getting your message right and having the perfect offer. But if you can't close deals at the end of the day, like all of that stuff is just a waste of time and energy. But the coaching industry isn't teaching sales skills. And so if they're not teaching sales skills, then they're not teaching you how to handle objections. And majority of people don't jump on a sales conversation because they know that at some point there's going to be that price objection. And it's like, shit, how do I deal with that? How do I get around that? How can I handle that objection or answer that objection without having to justify my price? Which most people do. Yeah, but it's this price because of that. Or getting into a boxing ring where you're trying to fight or use some type of sales manipulation to get them to say yes. So we don't use any of that. This allows you to handle objections amazingly well. And I'm going to role play with a few of you guys if you're willing to do that. and I'll be the coach, and I'll handle those objections for you, so you can watch the seat in real time. And also, again, it just makes it easy for your premium clients to make faster decisions quicker at the end of the call. So everything that I've just illustrated, walked through there, does all that make perfect sense? Anybody got any questions around that, on that? Yeah. So I do talk fast, and that's because I've got a lot to get through. I've got a lot to share. So, but again, you're going to catch all this stuff on a recording, right? Now, let me just ask you, before I jump into this, like, so it's, this specifically is talking about the sales conversation, right? This more or less is at the end of the journey, the client journey. When should we start playing that bigger game? When should we start elevating what we do above and beyond what everybody else is doing? Because ultimately it doesn't start at the end of the game, right? It starts well in advance of the game. So if you look at the strategy as a whole, today we're just really focused on the sales conversation. Now this should be next level, right? To showcase that what we do is totally different to everybody else. But it doesn't start there. It starts way in advance of that, right? So it starts with your offer. It starts with your messaging. It starts with communication. It starts with all the other parts of the strategy. So you need to elevate every other part as well, because if you're seen to be doing the same and similar as what everybody else is doing in advance of the sales conversation, again, it's going to be hard to get people actually into that conversation. Does that make sense? Yeah. So take this on board for the sales conversation, but also then you're going to be thinking a better game and a bigger game in order, how can you play totally different to what everybody else is doing in the marketplace, so you can stand out bigger, better, different. So this is the visual sales method pillars. This is the overall framework of what I'm going to take you through now. You can look at this, right? And it's simple. Again, it's not rocket science. This is still built on the framework of a sales conversation, but it's no longer auditory. We're using other three modalities of communication. So this is built on the framework of a doctor, right? A doctor cannot prescribe a prescription until they've diagnosed the problem. That would just be unethical and immoral of a doctor, right? So this is built on that principle. So first and foremost, what we need to be able to do with a prospective client is to diagnose their problem. And then what we want to do, and what I'll do for this, right? So first and foremost, we're going to diagnose their problem using what I call a discovery grid. What we want to do then, we're wanting to get them into the success pillars as quickly as possible. But before we get them into the success pillars, first and foremost, what we want to do is we want to share some client wins. Does anybody want to open their mic up and tell me the importance of why this should come before the success pillars?
It's social proof, validation.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Love it. Thank you very much. Agnes? Oh, did you just enjoy that?
Yeah, building the trust, right? Showcasing that you can do and you already done.
Yeah.
You already solved someone's problem and done what she wants to achieve.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Everything, yes, spot on. What we're wanting to do is we're wanting to edify what comes next, right? Because if we can showcase that there's been other people that you've helped, there's been in similar situations as the person that you're currently speaking to, it edifies what you're about to show them. So they're more invested into that conversation. They're already invested into that conversation, but then they're going to be more leaning in. They're going to take it a lot more serious. They're going to be like, at that point, they should be really in awe, because they're going to be thinking, well, I've tried all these other things. I've not got the results. What I'm about to learn that these people have gone through that's helped them to get these results. Now, at this point, if you don't have client testimonials, then that's fine, right? But let's just get them fast. And then we've got them to use in this framework. If what you do is helping your prospective clients to overcome the same problem that you've overcome yourself, then just use your own transformation, use your own journey. All right, is that you, Diane? Or do you have a question around that?
I've got testimonials from my clients. Only thing is, I've recently changed my niche.
Okay.
So would I be able to show them my old testimonials in a different niche, or would I have to have them all in the niche that I'm working with now?
Yeah, ideally, a good question, but ideally they need to be in the same niche, because then the transformation is irrelevant to the thing that they're wanting to achieve, right? So it's not going to be dialed in. It's not really going to speak to the thing that they're wanting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yes. Okay. I've just wasted about 6 months. No. At least I had the chance to work with different people.
Yeah, cool, excellent. Valerie, is this useful for you?
Yeah, definitely, because with what I do, it's only something I've worked on over the last few months, really. So I don't have any client testimonials, but I can actually just share my own journey, because it is exactly what I've done. So, and I can speak to that with confidence. So no problem there.
Perfect, perfect. Ideally, you want to be able to show your own wins anyway, right? Because the way that I see it is like you should be the hero in their eyes, right? So that's perfect, excellent. So we've got the discovery grid, we've got the show, like show and tell, we've got the showing client wins, we've got the success pillars. I'll explain what that is, and then we've got the offer. Now everything to the left hand side of the line, up to that point, you are not selling. Up to that point, you are showcasing, you are presenting, and you are serving. But what you are doing, you are selling by default. Because anytime you show up to speak to a prospective client, you are serving. And when you're serving, by default, you are selling. You're selling yourself. You're selling your conviction. You're selling your leadership. You're selling your offer. You're selling everything that you do, right? You're selling your own wins. You're selling you as a coach. So above the line on the right-hand side, this is the point when you will actually deliver the price point of the offer. That's when you actually start selling. Up to that point, you're not selling, you're just presenting and serving. Makes sense? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through each of these elements. And I've done this in a framework where hopefully it's going to be really easy for you to understand. It's going to be easy for you to understand. It's going to be simple, so much so that you should be able to take this, right? And on your next call, who's got more calls lined up? Who's got calls later on today? Who's got calls tomorrow? Who's got calls in the week? We need calls, people.
Yeah, I've got calls in the week.
Amazing, Joanne. Amazing. Right. So I'd love for you to take this and use it, and then let me know. So now when I go through this is roughly the time frame that I can spend on each section of the call. Obviously, I'm developed, I've got skill sets, and I can get through it relatively quickly. Not that I would speed through it, but I've got it. I'm effective enough to be able to get through it efficiently. When you're obviously starting something new, it's going to take longer, and that's fine. Stick with it. And then as you progress, as you improve, as you develop, then you'll be able to be more efficient and bring the timing of each section down. So this is the discovery grid. So what you could do, I'm just going to clear this, right? So when somebody jumps on a call, I would have 2 minutes, a bonding session. And that's where we just shoot the breeze, be relatable, have a chit chat. And then I would ask them 3 questions just to qualify them that they're in the right place. They are looking for the thing that I help them to do, and they're ready to solve that problem ASAP. Because if they're not, then what's the point in carrying this conversation on, right? There's just no point. So once we've gone through that section, then I would share my screen. And as you can see, right, again, we're just inside Canva. We're just inside Canva. So share my screen. This is the discovery grid. I wouldn't have anything else on here apart from that. Sometimes I don't even have the grid, and I'll draw the grid as I go. But to make it easy, you could just have the grid already drawn out. And I would have start, and I would have right down here. So what's the reason? Somebody answer me this question quickly. What's the reason? What's the biggest reason why somebody would hire a coach?
Because they want to, or they're fed up of the pain that they've got, so they want to work towards the desire. So they've got a problem and they need to fix it, basically, or they need to be ready to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're looking for a result. They're looking for an outcome. They've got a goal and they can't get that for themselves, right?
Right.
So what I would do, I would write down here. So would you mind me asking, what's the result that you're looking to get? What's the outcome that you're looking to get? What's the goal that you're struggling to hit? And so they would tell you. So you would write that down there in front of them. Now they might go off on a little bit of a tangent. They might just give you a direct answer. So when my clients come to me, prospects, they might say, well, I want to hit 10K a month, 15K a month, 20K a month. I can just simply write that down. So you look at the biggest goal and you just write that down. Beautiful. Let me ask, there's obviously a reason why you're not hitting that goal. Would you mind me asking, what's the 3 big problems that you're struggling with that's stopping you from hitting that goal? So they're going to tell me, right? They're going to say, well, I'm struggling with this seems to be a problem. This seems to be a problem. And this seems to be a problem. Got you. Makes sense. And I would imagine how those problems would hold you back from hitting that result. And I would also imagine that those problems on a day-to-day basis, they're causing you challenges, right? And they'll say, yeah, like, would you mind sharing like some of those challenges? And I would imagine there's quite a few different challenges in maybe different areas of your life, not necessarily just your business. And this works if you're a health coach, a relationship coach, leadership coach, whatever it may be. If there's always a problem, then there's always challenges associated to that problem. So write it down, creates anxiety, stress, relationship problems, money problems, and they'll tell you. So we're writing this down. And again, I'm going to give you an example of one from a few days ago. So, and you'll see that like my levels of note taking is not too much nuance. I'm just extracting some of the bigger things and just popping that down there. So from there, I will go, so tell me, what's the time frame? How long have you been wanting to hit this goal? So they say, well, over the last 10 months, 12 months, few years, whatever it may be. So they're going to give you a time frame of how long they've been trying to get that result. Beautiful. So I would imagine that now this is, whenever there's a problem of somebody hitting a result, there's always a bigger cost to that problem to them, right? In every area of life, there's always a bigger cost. Most people have got their head buried in the sand, not prepared to look at the true cost of what the true cost of them not hitting the result. So for example, somebody comes to me, well, I want to do 10K a month. And okay, and how long have you been wanting to hit 10K months? For the last 12 months. So you probably not be aware of this, but like so far over every month you do not hit that goal, your business is actually costing you 10K a month. So over the duration of the last 12 months, right, you've potentially left £120,000 or $120,000 on the table. If you're a relationship coach, so how long have you been struggling with this problem? Over the last year. Okay, you realize the biggest cost to you right now, maybe in another 6 months, 8 months, but maybe sooner than later, chances are you actually might end up being divorced. You might end up in court. You might end up having to separate your family, your wife, your kids, going to live into another house. There's always a bigger cost. Now, when you share that bigger cost, you see something happen in their physiology. Right? It's like it's a wake-up call. From there, what we want to do is then future pace them. We want to put them into a different state. And I want to ask about their future vision. So I would say, let's pretend that me and you are not having this conversation. Let's pretend that you didn't have these problems and you're already hitting these results and life were amazing. What would life look like? And they'll tell you. Then now, anybody understand the psychology of why we do this?
Yeah, I can understand, because first of all, sometimes they don't even know they've got a bigger problem, or they're in denial. So when you work out the problem and the results, they know that they've got a problem.
Mhm.
And then it's getting them to understand that they got it and giving them some hope in the future, if they can change it, that they can get it.
Yeah, beautiful. Anybody else? Valerie, did you put your hand up? Come.
Yeah, there was one lady that sticks out in my mind actually. When I spoke to her, she came to me for one thing and realized that actually there was something a lot deeper that needed to be worked on. So
Okay.
what she was presenting with was just surface level, where actually she needed more of an emotional, it was more of an emotional issue, and she needed to work on that first. So
Right. Okay.
that's just an example of why you flesh this out.
Yeah. Beautiful. Excellent. Good awareness as well, right? For prospective client. Anybody know why we want to future pace them?
Yeah, you want to bring them into that positivity, don't you? It's like from the, oh my God, everything sucks. You want to bring them towards hope and desire again, right? That we elevate the state, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Elevate the state. Right now, they're in a identity of lack. They're in an identity of struggle. They're in an identity of scarcity, right? We want to break that, and we want to elevate their identity. So much so that they're operating now from a creative state and the identity that they need to be in order to live the life that they want to live, right? So let's pretend that we're not having this conversation right now. You're already living the life that you want to live. You've got the results, everything's of abundance, however you phrase it. What does life look like? What is it that you wanted to step into? Well, I will be doing this, I will be doing this, I'll be a lot more happy, a lot more vibrant, more spontaneous. I would have a successful business. I would have more cash flow, whatever it may be, right? They're now being creative, and you're allowing them to be creative, and they're being creative from a higher state, a new higher identity, a future identity. And when somebody's in that state, then it's better thinking. So as you're writing a few things down, they're expressing what they want their future to look like. I would, at the bottom of that, write down, would you agree with me that everything that everything that you just mentioned there is absolutely priceless? Because it would be. It would be. You wouldn't be able to put a figure on the amount or on the thing that they want to step into. It would be priceless. So from there, and again, this is a typical advanced sales flow conversation. But what we're doing now is we're taking it up quite a few levels. From there, I would ask them, would you mind me asking, what is your pivotal moment? What's your trigger? What's the thing that's going to make you once and for all solve these problems so you can get this result? What's the imaginary line in the sand that's you're going to step over, right, and finally find a resolve? For instance, and this is where I would share one of my stories, and I wouldn't make it up. I've got maybe 4 or 5 that I could pull from that are genuine stories, and I would always give one that's more relevant to the person that I'm speaking to, right? And again, not to manipulate, but just to resonate with. So, for example, I would say something along the lines of one of the stories. So if we went back 8, 9 years ago, business for me wasn't always as it is today. Like some months I would go a long time without clients. Some months I would get a lot of clients. That means that some months I would have a lot of money coming in. And then I would go without clients 2 or 3 months. That means that some months I went without paying the bills. But at the time, my partner was pregnant with one of my child, and I could not like be full responsibility of bringing a child into the world where I had to financially protect and just be there as a father. So things had to change massively. So that was my line in the sand. What's your line in the sand? What's your pivotal moment? This is important that you share one of your stories. Anybody know why?
Is it part of the like, no trust?
Yeah, love that. Right. So you're showcasing vulnerability. Right. You're breaking your own barriers down. And if you break your barriers down in front of them and you show vulnerability, what are they going to do? They're going to do the same. Because naturally, people mirror people. Again, psychology, right? People mirror people. So if you step first, then they'll step. But if you're not prepared to step, then they'll not step. Yeah. So once you've shared a vulnerable story that's relatable, then they'll share theirs and write that down there. Now they might share a lot. Again, all you have to do is just write down key bullet points of what they're saying, not everything. And then I would say, you sound relatively serious about this. In fact, you sound really, really serious about this. That's if they do sound serious. And I would say, tell me on a level of 1 to 10, or maybe even higher, where do you sit? Where do you sit? Are you like a 2 to 3? Well, I would love to have it. It sounds amazing, but I'm not really motivated. Are you at 8 and 10? Are you totally off the charts? You're all in. Where do you believe? Where do you think you sit? Now, at this point, if they come back and they say, I'm a 2 and a 3, then I would ask why. Why are you 2 and 3? Where's the motivation to really make this happen? And if there is no motivation, if there is no real inspiration to do it, then I would end the call there. There's no point in carrying on. Because whilst I can coach, and whilst I'm a good coach, I can't coach motivation. They've got to have that deep desire in themselves to want to do it. Makes sense? If they're at 8 or 9, amazing. If they're off the charts, outstanding. Why do we ask this question?
So you can get your client results, because if they're not motivated themselves, then it's going to make your job a lot harder, isn't it?
I'd love it. Absolutely. Right. We want to make sure that these are like pre-qualifying questions, right?
Right.
So the way that I see this question, and thank you for that, Joanne, the way that I see this question, this is like a temperature test question. You're testing the temperature of your prospect. If they're not hot to try, like, you can be an amazing coach, but you can't make them do it. You can't make them do it, physically do it. They've got to want, that's got to be a deep, deep, deep desire to do it. And I think this is one of the problems with a lot of coaches, is they're bringing people on and they're not pre-qualifying them. And then they'll bring people on because it sounds an amazing idea. And then they'll get 50% through the program. And then the prospective client just vanishes, disappears, gone, never to be seen again. Goes to responsibilities because they're not prepared to do it.
Yeah. To be fair, if they're not motivated, they're hard to work with. So you won't want to work with them anyway, would you? Because we're not for everybody.
Love it. Absolutely. Yes. But it's up to us, right, to be able to do that fact finding.
Absolutely.
And to ask those appropriate questions. Because if not, then you're just going to fill your coaching program, offer services full of people that are nightmares to work with. And then you start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Why did they disappear? And it's not necessarily you're a bad coach, nothing to do with you. Yes, you could have pre-qualified them better, but it's all about the person that you brought in. Right? Agnes is agreeing. I can see these light bulb moments going off.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Cool. Okay. Are we all enjoying this? We're all getting this.
Yeah. Good. It's all good.
Yeah. It's all good. Perfect. Angie, we happy? Lisa May, we happy? Yeah. Good, 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 good. Okay, so let's move forward then. From there, we want to move into this section here. And I would imagine that over the duration of whilst they've had this problem and they've been wanting to achieve this result, they would have tried some things. They should have tried some things to solve this problem. So I would say over the last 10 months, you've been trying to hit 10K a month, it's not working. Tell me, what are some of the things that you've tried that didn't work? Well, I've been on this course and I've been to this event. I've been doing these challenges. I'm inside all these Facebook groups. I've read this book. I'm listening to this podcast. I've invested in coaching. I've done all these things. Amazing. Again, it's a temperature test question. If they've done a lot, what does that show you? Well, that shows you that they're willing to do the work. If they've invested, what does that show you? It shows you that they're buyers. If they've not done anything over the last duration of period of time they've been struggling with the result, get the result, what does that show you? Are they lazy asses? Right, pretty bluntly. So again, temperature test question. So then we move forward. And again, just write things down very, very quickly. Then it'd be a case of, so tell me, I would imagine some things did work. It might not have got you the end result. Or you might have got some results, but they only lasted for so long before maybe you went into relapse or started whatever it may be. So tell me, what are some of the things that did work? So you can write those down. Now, talked about earlier on about how the brain retains information. What have we just done here? We've just built up a visual representation of their situation. So not only now is it auditory, not only is it written text, but now it's a visual information. And so at this point, I would say, just to make sure, so we're both clear, are we on the same page? Have I got everything down as I should? Is there anything else I want to add into this? No, that's perfect. That's exactly what I said. You've got everything down. Cool. Amazing. Thought I had. So at this point, how is your prospect feeling? Understand your prospects, stand in your prospect's shoes. How are they feeling right now? Lisa May?
Sorry, helps if I can get my audio turned on.
How's your prospects feeling right now once you've taken through this area?
Well, hopefully excited and motivated to actually get their problem solved, right? And achieve the outcome that they're looking for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And confident that you are the one that can help them get there.
Yeah, well, that will come a little bit later on, I believe. But you are showcasing that you are somebody that's paying interest, right? But here's what I believe that they feel from experience. Thank you for that, Lisa May, is that right now your prospect is feeling heard, feeling understood, and feeling seen, right? But also there's something else as well. The knowing and the seeing and the feeling that somebody else gets them. Chances are right now your prospects are out there in the big wide world, right? Not feeling understood. At this point, they're going to feel understood and they're going to feel as though somebody else understands them and gets them. It's a massive part. So from there, what I would do is I would say, so from what I can see, what I can, oh, my fingers, it's been a long day. What I can see from what you've tried to do, what's not worked, what has worked, from the thing that you're trying to get, I can see that my observation is that these are the things, these are the reasons why it's not worked. So I would give them some observation, some insights. I'm not coaching. I would just give them an observation. Now, let me just share with you. This is a live representation of one that I did recently. So real live example. So you can see how I framed it out, exactly the same. You can see the levels that I'm taking depths. You can see spelling mistakes on there. I'm just extracting information and writing it down. Right. So at that point, I would say, so from what you've from the insights I've shared, from what I can see, what I'd love to do, if you're open to it, I'd actually love to map out your next steps of what I believe that you need in order to start moving forward. Would that be okay? Now, why would they say no? Yeah, absolutely. Please share me. So at this point, what we'll do is, 2 seconds, because I've not got it open. I should have it open. There you go. I'm not prepared. At this point, I would open up Canva. I would have actually all this tab already open. And I would just quickly share some client testimonials. I would say, okay, before I map what you need to do, your next steps, let me just quickly share you. This is XYZ. This is the person who was in a similar situation to you. And these are the results that he got. And then this is another person that was in a similar result. This is the type of results that he got in the time frame here. And I'll just quickly share some wins. Now, again, if you don't have client testimonials, use your own. But if you do, just quickly talk through these. We're not going to spend too long on here. But again, as Mike said, we're just showcasing social proof. We're edifying what we're about to show them is designed to get results. And it's also going to shock them to think, wow, amazing. How, or put them in, or at least, like, how are these people generating these type of results, right? So once I've done that, I would jump back into into Canva, and I will move on to this section. So we're now in the third pillar, which is the success pathway. Now, on this slide, I would not have those there. I would just literally have a line, an arrow, point A and point B. But just for the premise of this call, I've got those there just to speed things up. And I would say, so from what you've just told me, this is your current situation, which is point A. You are here. That's what you said, right? Yes, cool, okay. And you want to be over here. Yes, so write that in there, wherever it may be. So I could write 0 sales or $1,000 sales a month. That's what you're currently doing. And you want to get to 20K a month. That's right. Yes. Okay, cool. So what I'm about to do, what I'm about to say, this is what I would say to them, is right. So, well, think about this, for example, is all they can see right now is a gap between where they are and where they desire to be. There's a gap. And that gap for them right now feels and seems like a million miles away. So what I would say is what I'm about to do right now is map out what I believe that you need to do from a high point of view. And my intention is to actually reduce the time frame to you actually getting the result. And simultaneously, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make it simpler for you as well. So not only am I going to reduce the time frame to you getting the result, I'm going to simplify the process too. Would that be okay? Yes. Beautiful. So let's do this. So now you can only do this if you've got a signature offer already built out. And your signature offer is being built out in terms of the foundations of it is built in frameworks like pillars, which is the foundational part of what everything else is built upon. So which is like the stepping stones that you take your clients through in order to take them from where they are to where they desire to be. So you would say, so based on where you're at, I believe that this is the first thing that you need to focus your time and attention on. And I will write that down there. And I'll give an example of a real live one. So write that down there. And then I would say, and this is the reason why you need to do this, right? This is the benefit of this to you. Now, I'm not coaching. I am not coaching. I'm just writing down, illustrating their first move. You need to do this. And this is the benefit to you of doing this. But equally, if you don't do this, this is also the consequence. Right? Showcase the consequence of them not doing that. Consequence of if you don't do it, then you're not going to get the result. And then once you've done that, then I feel and I believe that this is your next step. This is the next thing that you really need to be focusing your time and attention on, or building in, or working on. And this is the benefit to that, consequence of not doing that, and so forth, so forth. Now, you don't want to do more than 4 to 5 pillars, 4 or 5, not 45, 4 or 5 pillars, because then you gain too much into the weeds. You're giving them too much information. Again, think about your prospect. They're already overwhelmed with too much information. That's one of the reasons why they're not getting the results. They're already overwhelmed. So you're going to just, from a 30,000 foot viewpoint, just simply walk them through what they need of the pillars. And then also, I would also add this in as well. Now, based on what you've told me, that you've been struggling with this for the last 10 months, and you've tried a lot of things, I feel as though you need support, because it's evident that you can't do it by yourself. So I really also feel as though you need some eye touch coaching, accountability, and some insights, because life is going to get in the way, and chances are, right, you could fall off course. And because you're not moving forward, because life's going in the way. And so you need somebody that can be there by your side, or you're accountable to moving forward, offer you insights along the way, so we can navigate you through the risks and the pitfalls of you not achieving this. That makes sense. Yes, cool. Right. So this is an example of that. I'll just make this a little bit smaller. So I had a call. I'll actually map this out for somebody else earlier on today. And you can see it's high level. I'm not jumping into the weeds. I'm not going too nuanced. It's just high level. Just mapping out a framework for them to take them from where they are to where they desire to be. What does this give them? Anybody want to unmute?
Well, it gives them it gives you credibility for a start, that you actually know what you're talking about, and they know that you know that you can get them there and how you're going to do it.
Beautiful.
Confidence for them in you.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely. That's one thing. What's another?
Clarity, that they see the proper step by step. It's easy.
Clarity. Biggest thing. The biggest thing that you can do for your client is help them have clarity. Right now, they're coming to you lack of clarity, full of chaos, living in chaos, confusion, overwhelm, right? And they're overcomplicating things. We're simplifying things, and we give them clarity. You can help your clients to see their problem and their pathway through a different lens, right? You're going to be God gifts to whatever. They're going to love you. So clarity. What else have we done for your prospect? What have we done for your prospect, or what have you done for your prospect at this point that nobody else has ever done before? This is a biggie.
You've given them a personalized program to follow that they understand from what you've been talking about.
Boom. Who said that?
Me, Christina.
Amazing. Absolutely. You've personalized their journey to the results. Nobody else is doing that. Everybody's saying, come into my webinar, download my blueprint, whatever it may be, get all of my ebook, join my course. But it's all generic. Whilst it's relevant, it's still generic. People, again, think about the information age. People have already gotten the information, all the information. Yet they've got all the information, but they're still saying inside their head, there's still a conversation that's happening internally. saying, but how is this applicable to me? For me, for where I am. You're personalizing it. Can you feel that? Right? Again, a lot of psychology and a lot of understanding, human behavior understanding of why all this matters. And having this education, understanding why this is there, this is there, this is there, this is there, is super valuable. So you can see at this point, here's what I would do. I would say, do you like the pillars? Does it make sense? Can you see how you can generate the results, get to where you want to be with these pillars, with what I've just outlined? And they're going to say, yes, I can. And I'll say, why? You've simplified it. It makes sense. It's logical. Cool. Excellent. And then I would open up a pen and I would say, just imagine if me and you could actually work on this together. Just think how quick and how easy it would be, right, to either build or to reflect or to walk you, to get you through this, if we could do this together. And then imagine if we could work on this together. And then we could spend a session on this together, or a couple of sessions on this together, and we could build this out together. And we could get you into this position a lot quicker, faster, and simpler, so you can actually start generating those results easier. And they'll be like, yeah, that would be amazing. So at that point, I would say, so I have a mentorship program. And inside this mentorship program, I actually help people achieve results, as I've showcased earlier on, to help similar people like yourself to generate these type of results. Would you mind me showing you what that looks like? And they're going to say, no, I don't mind. Please show me. So from there, I would just open up this simple Google Doc. This simple Google Doc, that's all it is just a breakdown of my offer. It's well structured, it's well engineered, it's concise, but it's high level, and I've left no stone unturned. So by me sharing this at this level, they can't come back later on and say, well, I don't really understand this, I don't really get that, can you send me more in an email? Right? Every part of the conversation that we've gone through, we've made sure that we've ticked all the boxes that we need to tick so they can make better quality decisions at the end of the conversation. So I'll just not quickly, but I would just read through this. I wouldn't go off on tangents. I wouldn't start explaining things. I'll just read through it. So this is the objective. This is how we support clients. This is the philosophy on how we get you results. This is the phase in which the offer is being built out. This is the support mechanism that we have in place to make sure that we get you to the end result and you don't fall off the wagon. This is the deliverables of some of the things that we're going to be working on together throughout the process of the 3 months or 6 months, or whatever level they jump in at. So again, I would just read through it. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it, just read through it just so they get it and they can see it. This is the roadmap of expectations of where we expect it to be between here and there, here and here, here and here, here and here, so we can have continual growth. So we're not getting left behind. And then this is how we would fast track the process of you actually developing those skill sets quicker. Because the only thing you really need right now is to develop the skill sets of mastering prospecting and mastering sales. So we build it together, we personalize it together, we do a lot of role playing together. I give you feedback, everything's personalized, and then whatever it may be, right? So they know that, because sometimes developing skill sets can take a long time. So we know how to develop those skill sets quicker. Once I've gone through that again, maybe 6, 7 minutes, I would jump back into here and I would say, does all that make sense? Do you like what you see? Do you have any questions? So we've now just gone through the 4 pillars. Discovery grid, show client wins, success pillars, and we've just showcased the offer, right? We just showcased the offer. So we just presented all of that stuff. Now, where am I? I'm here. So they're going to say, yeah, that all looks amazing. It sounds like, or it looks like you've got everything figured out. I love it. You've answered out everything. I totally get it. Because you've answered everything. There's nothing really for them to question. You've walked through everything. You've not forgotten anything. Like most people, when they get to the end of this conversation and deliver their offer, they don't know how to present that offer. So they just wing it. So if you can't articulate it effectively enough where you're confident in delivering it to a level that they understand it and accept it and embrace it and they can see it and embody it and visualize it, then they're going to be confused. So if you can't articulate it, if you're confused yourself, then they're confused. And we know that confused people never buy. So the way that that's being structured, it's like everything's there. What you're doing is effectively is you're stacking the decks of cards in your favor to get clients easier, to help clients generate results. Because if you can't articulate this, they're going to leave you. And when they leave you, they're going to go back into the big outside world with the problem still at hand. Chances are they might jump on a call to somebody else that can articulate their offer better than you, and chances are they might buy their offer, which you don't want that, do you? So at this stage, it will be a case of, so do you have any other questions? Now, what's the only question that's not being asked, or what's the only question that's not being answered?
How much is it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Everything else is being covered right up to this point. So I would say, so you want to know the price? Beautiful. Open to telling you that. Before I do, let me just quickly ask you. So I would take them through the 4 Ps to pre-qualifying them even more. The 4 Ps. So this is how this works. I would say, perfect. Happy to tell you the investment. Before I do you mind me asking you the first P, pillars? I wouldn't say first P. I would say, why do you like the pillars? And why do you think that these pillars are good to help you to generate the result that you're looking for? So then I'm going to tell you, well, you've simplified it. I understand it. It's logical. It's in a sequential order sequence. There's a framework there. Yeah, I can see. So you're asking them to buy them. They're buying themselves into, or they're selling themselves onto your pillars. You're not telling them why the pillars are amazing for them. They're telling themselves why the pillars are the pillars and why they need these pillars to get the results. Beautiful. Makes sense. Absolutely. And what about the process? What about how I'm going to facilitate your journey and support you? What about the deliverables? What do you like about those? Well, I just like how everything's wrote down. You know everything that I need to have in order to get the results. You've simplified it again. You've obviously got the full solution. It's not just part of strategy, which most people are just peddling a part of strategy, not full solution. It makes sense. It's logical. Yes, I need that level of accountability because chances are life might happen and it looks like you're going to really not let me escape. Beautiful. Absolutely perfect. And third P, what about you as a prospect? Are you somebody that when you get started, you're all in, you're fully invested, you're fully committed, you play at a high level, you show up to call, you do the work, and you see the things through to the end? Are you somebody that starts with all the right good intentions, but half the way through, you're not doing the work, you don't show up to calls, you go to your responsibilities and you just drift off in the shadows. Which are you? Oh no, I'm all in. I'm fully committed. I really, really want this. So now they're selling themselves of why they want this. Again, Joanne, as you said earlier on, pre-qualifying, right? We're pre-qualifying them every step of the journey. They're now selling us on why they need this and why they are the right person for this. Finally, just one last question. What about me? What about my personality as a coach, as a leader, as a mentor? Do you feel as though we would get on together? Do you feel as though you would like to be coached by me? Do you think we would be able to work together? And they'd be like, yeah, I just love how simple you make it. You're just a down-to-earth guy. You're relatable. You obviously can help me. They start telling you these things. Because again, there's no point in bringing somebody into a coaching container if there's going to be friction between you and the client. It just doesn't make sense. So we've just taken them through the 4 Ps. Cool, beautiful. So now we can deliver the price of the offer. So beautiful to work with me inside the container for 3 months or 6 months, whatever it may be, and to get access to me as a mentor and to the core deliverables. Then it's deliver the price, whatever that may be, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, whatever that may be. The price is the price.